and was only suitable for people aged 18 or over, will almost certainly have an adult theme, and might well contain sex or violence, which are quite graphic. It may also contain explicit language, including sexual swear words. Thanks for listening.
But here's what his revelation comes to him. He's kind of got all this stuff like touching, wiping, mourning of the animals.
Not wiping, whipping.
Yeah. Also not touching.
I am dyslexic. I hope I'm not having like a stroke.
Do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
And an atheist almost always becomes supporters of eugenics and abortion.
A swine is hungry for nuts.
Jesus hates them too.
Satan is real.
Being a Satanist is an open declaration of revolt against counterproductive received wisdom and mindless rogue tradition.
Decapitate her head off.
We're done. You're done.
Obama!
Welcome to the Godless Rebelution. Today is Monday, November 28th. The first Monday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I had a lot of people at the house. It was a lot going on. I'm Dan Ellis, joined in studio as always by
Ryan Duffy.
And tonight's guest host that we are delighted to have back on the show again, Mr. A.K.A. Reed from the Utah Outcasts. How's it going, man?
Hey, guys. I'm glad to be here. It's going great.
Excellent, excellent. We had Kyle on a couple weeks ago.
I had Kyle and Jeff.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. That's most of the roster.
We'll probably have Grant on next week if I can talk him into it. And we are delighted to have with us tonight a special guest joining us via Skype, Mr. Jim Helton. He is the president of Tri-State Freethinkers and regional director for American Atheists in Kentucky. How's it going, Jim?
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Pleasure to have you, man. So there's been a lot going on there in Kentucky over the last little bit.
Yes, there has.
So stretching back into the more major things that have happened there recently, of course, you have the Ark encounter that opened there, as you guys lovingly refer to it as the Genocide and Incest Park.
Yes.
with dinosaurs.
I love those billboards, by the way. Those are awesome.
Thank you. I mean, we did it, one, to grab people's attention, but we actually changed the story. And that's what I'm most proud of about the Ark encounter with that campaign.
So who was the one who came up with the Genocide and Incest Park?
That was my idea. I mean, we had a lot of help of people getting input. Even David Silverman tweaked it at the very end after we had the billboard to come up with the way it came. But the original idea was mine from the get-go. And I had to fight a lot of people to keep it at genocide and incest. I got rid of drunkenness, though. It had drunkenness, but I got rid of it just because it didn't fit word-wise.
Yeah, better to have just a few words on there that you can make the font a lot larger and grab people's attention a little more easily. So, how did you just have the one billboard with that on there?
Yeah, we just had the one. We couldn't get it up anywhere else. We put it up on the opening day, of the Ark, but nobody else in the country would put it up. We even went to Australia, where Ken Ham is from, and they wouldn't put it up.
Wow.
So that was our biggest challenge with the billboard.
So who did you finally get to post the billboard for you?
American Atheists actually printed it for us, and then we put it up during the protest. We had like a 15-foot banner, that had a Genocide and Incest Park, and we had signs that said "This exit." So we were right off the exit ramp, and we had it up and proud. And we had international news there. There were 6 documentary film crews there. We were doing Fox and Friends live. Nightline recorded, we were in the New York Times, Washington Post, Miami Herald, France, Germany, documentary crews from other countries were coming in. It was amazing.
I love how you guys changed the narrative from it being look at here, look, the Ark Park is opening up to look at all these people protesting.
Yeah, and GQ magazine contacted me, and they pretty much summed it up as, they were doing a piece on the Ark, and they go, we can't research the Ark without your name and your organization coming up. And the New York Times was writing a fluff piece about the Ark, and they came across, our billboard, and we gave them all the information about how it was anti-LGBT, anti-science, and all the church-state separation issues. And we changed the narrative for the majority of all the news stories that were covering it. It wasn't just the Genocide and Incest Park, they were covering the real reasons we were protesting that we got in print. And we changed the story nationally, and that's what we were most proud of.
You need to double whoever you're paying for SEO, whatever he's making.
So now, I'm guessing Ken Ham saw your sign. Did you speak with him about it at all? Did he address it?
Not directly, but he did address us. You know, I woke up around 6:37 in the morning with my phone just blowing up, and I couldn't figure out why. Like, I have no text messages. My Facebook's fine. Like, what the hell's going on? And it was my Twitter feed of Ken Ham repeatedly just pinging me and tagging me over and over and over again, calling me out by name, by organization. And we screenshot some of the good ones. They were amazing. And then the news start calling me, around 8 a.m. and I was doing interviews all day till like 4 p.m. Just all day. They were at my house, wanting to know what was going on.
So what were some of your favorite tweets from Mr. Ham?
I'd have to pull them up. I would have to look those up. Not have those in front of me, but they were. I'll have to get them to you though. They were amazing.
I don't believe you. Were you there?
Yeah,
so
it was.
And you went on the tour of the Ark and everything, right?
So not exactly. So the Creation Museum at the protest, they actually had like employees there. Like they had like 4 or 5 employees there and some volunteers during the whole protest time there. And Eric Hovind had free passes that he gave everybody with Dogma Debate, and a bunch of people went on that tour. I did not go. I went the next day, which I wasn't allowed to say anything at the time, but Bill Nye invited me to tour the Ark with him.
Oh, nice.
So I got to tour the Ark with Bill Nye and Ken Ham, debate number 2, basically. And I had arranged for my kids to have selfies with Bill Nye.
I'm jealous.
That was really cool. I had to pay for it, though. I could have got him free the day before, but it was the most expensive selfie I've ever paid for my kid. But there were some amazing things out of that. Like Ken was like, "Hey, Bill, can we be friends?" And Bill's like, "I don't think so, Ken." Yeah. And Ken said some other things, and Bill was like, "Well, if you were drowning in the ocean, I would probably save you, but that's as far as I'm willing to go." I was like, wow. Ken Ham was explaining to him that all dinosaurs are vegetarians, and Bill was like, "Then why do you need cages?" He came across the Jesus exhibit, and Bill's like, "Hey Ken, isn't that the New Testament?" Just asking. Like, it was hilarious.
Whatever you had to pay, it was worth the admission fee for that.
$160 for 4.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
It's expensive. It's expensive.
Was the parking lot as empty as they said it was going to be the next day? Okay.
Yeah, but even they said traffic would be lined up. There was police everywhere, which was great. We felt very safe. There was no traffic. By 1 o'clock, it was a ghost town. I don't want to over exaggerate though. Like Ken Ham predicted over 2 million people. He's never going to get that. He's not even close. But it's not as empty as some atheists would say. He's still probably going to get about 1 million people, maybe a little more. So, people are going to it.
Yeah.
Not near as many as Ken Ham projected.
But I mean, that 2 million count, that's far short of what he had promised the state in order to get those tax breaks.
Yeah, the bonds.
Yeah, but the state did their own independent study and said it's only going to be about 1 million.
Oh, okay.
And that's what they projected them on.
Okay.
So that's where you get into where people have no idea. Like the state of Kentucky gave them up to 18 million in tax incentives. A lot of people are aware of that. But what they're not aware of is Grant County gave them 100 acres for free. They gave them over $100,000 in cash as well. They redistricted it to a tax incentive district. So all the employees, not only at the Ark, but in businesses surrounding the Ark, have to pay 2% of their paychecks to go to pay back the junk bonds that the Ark.
Oh, man.
I'm not done. The real estate taxes, 75% of the real estate tax that would go to the county is going to pay back the junk bonds as well. So when you look at all these tax incentives and all this money raised, he has a $93 million project that they're really only on the hook for about $13 million when it's all said and done.
And funded by your tax dollars.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And he denies, he's very careful on his wording. He's like, we built this Ark with no money from the government. I don't care if you get it up front or in arrears. You're still getting it.
Yeah.
And that's what he's worded. So, and they do this while discriminating. So LGBT can't work there. Atheists can't work there. Most Christians can't work there. Catholics can't work there. And if you're single, you have to sign a vow of chastity saying you can't have sex.
Yeah. Remember Dan Earl wrote a bunch of articles about that prior to them opening up. And
yeah. And he was there at the protest. We brought a lot of the people that have been fighting the Ark even longer than we have all together in one spot, which was pretty cool to see. So the way they got away with this is basically the entrance gate is a for-profit company that is allowed to receive tax incentives from the government. The boat, the actual Noah's Ark, is a nonprofit who is a nonprofit. You're allowed to discriminate. So that was the legal loophole they used to do it.
Yeah, because they load you up on buses prior, like once you pass the gate, they load you up on a bus and they take you onto the property, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you go through the entrance gate, you get on a bus. That's the for-profit company's the entrance gate, and then they take you to the actual Ark, which is the nonprofit.
That's so fucking shady. I can't believe that they can just get away with that kind of shit.
In the transportation cabinet, and the governor of Kentucky said, no, this is not okay. We'll give you the $18 million, but you have to promise you won't discriminate and you'll follow state and federal guidelines. Then Ken Ham sued the state of Kentucky for discriminating against him for not allowing him to discriminate. And then we got a new Tea Party governor, Matt Bevin, who then replaced all the transportation cabinet that opposed the Ark overnight. They let it go through. They said it was fine. The judge said it was fine. And Matt Bevin, the governor, said, we're not going to fight it. We're happy with the decision.
That's fucking crazy.
It was being fought it was being fought in tooth and nail, and they would have lost. And it happened overnight that all of a sudden we're fine with it.
He just can walk in there and replace the whole council?
Yep. He did it overnight. Nobody knew.
Wow.
And when I told these stories, like to news from the UK and from France, and I told them about the vow of chastity and things, they laughed at me and said I was a very funny person, but could I stick to the facts? and I can't make this shit up. Like you don't understand. Like I'm not being funny. And they researched it and called me like the next day because they fact checked everything I said, like a good reporter, which is amazing. Yeah. You don't see it here. And they were like, Jim, you're not joking. Like, this is unbelievable. I'm like, I know. It's just wild.
Yeah, you're not from the Onion.
Yeah.
Well, and what was I understand there was also an issue with the porta potties that were set to be delivered.
So the first porta potty company we contacted said, yeah, they had plenty available. They gave us a great price. They asked what it was for, and when I told them, they put me on hold, came back 5 minutes later and said, I'm sorry, we're booked for the summer. We have nothing available. I was just like, and I called them out on it, but there was nothing I could do legally. So we contacted another company who said, sure, we don't care. We had it set up. It was supposed to be delivered at 10 a.m. They called us about 9:15 and said, is this for the Tri-State Freethinkers, that are protesting the Ark? And we said, yes. And they said, we're not going to deliver.
Did they give a reason why?
Yes, because we were protesting the Ark encounter and they didn't want to deliver to us.
And you guys had a contract at that point, didn't you, that they were going to show up?
Yes. Yep. We had a contract and everything. And, we had over 200 people come and go at that protest in those couple hours, with food, beverages. So, this was a major problem. We had no time to get it done. I contacted the national company who then said, we apologize. This should have never happened. They refunded our money, but they subcontracted it to the local company. So then, we were satisfied with the national company, saying they're like, why would somebody discriminate you not deliver? I go, because we're atheists. And they're like, well, why does that matter? I'm like, we live in Kentucky. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. So we weren't real upset with them, but they did send us a letter saying they would make sure this would never happen again. And verbally over the phone, they told me they would not use this company ever again. So we sent a letter to the company and they just ignored it. So we're actually, FFRF was there and gave us, talked to us about it. We're filing small claims court this week. So we're going to send it to small claims court for damages because we had people had to do shuttles to and from bathrooms down the street a ways and missed most of the protests because that's all they were doing was shuttling people back and forth to the bathroom.
That's ridiculous. I hope that you sue the pants off of them.
And what was funny though is we found a porta potty where we end up taking people to the same company that refused delivery because they didn't want to be associated with us. So we had David Silverman, myself, and all the atheists there took pictures of us next to the porta potty sign with their sign in our T-shirts and plastered them all over social media.
That's fantastic. So the more recent stuff, moving away from the Genocide and Incest Park, I understand that there's an issue with a local school district there.
So one of the things, and Hemet kind of said this in his video, we had a rally for Science and Reason afterwards, and he said, people protested the Ark 4 years ago, but here we are, and nothing's changed. And that kind of hit home with me. We wanted to make sure we put on this, international protest where it got a lot of attention, but we wanted to make sure we had change. And one of the results of us getting all this publicity was people start coming out and reporting church-state violations to us that, that they've tried to do, but nobody would listen. They had nowhere to go, and so that was a huge impact we're having. And we wrote a scathing letter to Grant County Public Schools of some of the violations. And there's a lot. So I'll give you a couple of the highlights and we can delve into as much detail as you want on these. On the school's website, they have Brian Smallwood is listed as the campus minister on the public school's website. If you look at his mission statement, if you link to the church, he's no longer there, but that he used to be at, the mission statement of the student ministry is to reach non-Christian students and recognize who Jesus Christ is and that they should live for him only. It's to convert non-Christian kids.
And this isn't a public school. Is this a junior high school?
He's in the high school, but he's been going to like the grade schools and getting like the Good News Club in there, and he's been going to all the schools. They have a 5-foot stand-up that says, "As a follower of Christ, I serve as a role model to many."
Holy shit!
They have a Bible on the desk of like the office. When you go in there, they've had Bibles come in. They have in the newsletters, they put out like promoting Dry Ridge Baptist Church Hoop It Up contest. And you think, well, they're promoting a church fundraiser, a basketball, who cares? But if you look at this flyer, it gives Bible quotes of Romans 9:17.
Oh, no.
And then it says all proceeds will go towards student missionary trip to Guatemala. They're raising money for local churches to proselytize to other kids. And they're putting Bible verses on them. They have a homework hotline that's done through Williamstown United Methodist Church, and they're promoting this all over the school. The Grant County News did an article with the church for doing this great deed, and in the paper, the article said, "Yeah, we're doing this so we can get the kids in church and proselytize to them." Like in the article, and then they were praised for what a great job it was.
Yeah, you're doing a great job of getting the word of Jesus out there to these kids in a public school.
So in your research, were you able to find out how much the city is actually paying this preacher to come there and work at the school?
He's also the athletic director.
Okay.
So he does have another title as well. So they do have that on the website. You have to dig a little bit deeper for the ministry. You have another one, like we had a prayer at the pole. We knew there would be a violation there, and we tried to send somebody to take pictures. We weren't able to get anybody down there, but that's no problem because Grant County took pictures for us. They put it on the front page of the school's newsletters with Bible verses of Psalms 24:3-6, and they promoted the hell, and it had staff in it. The list just goes on. A child brought a book in elementary school of Charles Darwin. They said it was inappropriate for school. A high school chemistry class did a book report on GMOs having used Sodom and Gomorrah as their reference materials.
Now, what do you mean they had to use Sodom and Gomorrah as reference materials?
So they had to write a report for if they were for or against GMOs. Not a bad idea. And you had to provide facts and evidence to support your argument. And they were told to use Sodom and Gomorrah as why they were for or against GMOs.
Well, if Lot's wife would have had GMOs in her, she wouldn't have turned to salt.
Well, I
all that Roundup.
I guess I still don't get the tie. How does that?
The Roundup made everybody there gay, and that's what the fire and brimstone came in.
If you're trying to figure it out, yeah, good luck. At first, we thought they were doing a report on chemistry, how a person turns to salt, but we were wrong on that. It was about GMOs. Who knew?
That's weird. I still don't. Yeah, I don't
see. GMOs wouldn't be a
tie.
chemistry thing for me. It would be more of a biology kind of thing for me. But
an agricultural class,
biology, or agriculture, like you said, because that's not. It's genetic information. I mean, if you go down to the base elements of it, yeah, you have chemistry within DNA and stuff like that. But chemistry should be mainly just, I mean, it's not strictly organic chemistry either.
Bonds
it's like
and covalence.
Yeah.
Like are they
what orbits do these electrons have around this proton,
Are they referring to like inappropriate breeding of animals or of plants for GMO stuff?
The OG turducken capital of the world, right?
Yeah, I don't understand the tie-in to Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, in the parent that got this assignment, the student refused to do it and actually quoted a science textbook for their arguments. Like, they just dismissed it. So I don't know where they were going with this. But when we sent this letter, the backlash was so severe, and we had arguments to say, everybody, the news covered it, and all the students came to my page, and we had like 2,000 comments within the first day. We had 10,000 comments within a couple of weeks, and we answered every single one of them, which we normally don't do. And we thought, hey, you can't stop us from praying in school. And we're like, we're not trying to stop you from praying in school. Just the school can't promote it or the teachers can't participate. You're fine. We thought that would be a good educational piece. I can't tell you how many students said, well, why can't the teachers pray? We go to a Christian school.
Oh my gosh.
It's this amount of privilege where they've gotten away with it for so long. They don't even know. It's not even that the line is blurred. They have no idea that a line should exist.
No. And this was not just students. Parents were doing the same thing and saying the same thing. There is no wall of separation between church and state in Grant County. It's just gone. I mean, they just shattered this thing, and it's been that way for so long. And they're screaming Christian persecution, obviously, because the worst thing you can do to a Christian is treat them equally. They hate that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just going to get even worse come January. It's just going to get worse and worse.
And then the post, when we did the ARC, we had a lot of comments. People sent us emails, you're going to burn in hell, atheists. We had all the typical troll comments, but when we sent the ARC, students start sending me pictures of them with their guns. People start posting, if we raped your wife, maybe you would change your mind. And then people said, hey, I found out where his kids go to school. Maybe somebody should pay him a visit. And unlike the ARC, where these came from Mississippi, Alabama, Australia, these are people that live 15, 20 minutes away from me. So that was very concerning.
Oh yeah, fuck, I'm sure it is. Receiving all of this love from these wonderful Christians, just the way that God taught them to treat other people.
And then the Christians said, well, they're not true Christians. That really pissed me off. And I was like, actually, they are. They're going by their Bible that says they should kill me. Like, this is what your book says. Don't say it's not.
Yeah, the moderates stepping in to defend the extremists.
Yeah.
Or at least provide them cover. Maybe not defend their actions, but say, oh, well, no true Christian would say anything like that.
Good old no true Scotsman fallacy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I can't hate it. I don't like it at all.
When I started becoming an activist 3 years ago, I knew this day would come. I'm surprised it took 3 years. I honestly expected this a lot sooner for myself, and I accepted that responsibility. That's just part of the territory. I'm sure you get some of the same. But I didn't expect it to go towards my kids. And so
that's a bridge too far.
And I had to sit down with them because this is not all of a sudden not my decision anymore, because I can't leave them home alone. We had to get officers at school. We had to call the sheriff and these things. So I sat them down and said, hey, I need to be honest. Here's what's going on. Here's how it's going to affect you. Do you want me to stop? They're 12 and 13 years old. And they just looked at me within seconds and were like, no, absolutely not. You can't.
Good old teenagers.
They were just like, no. I was very proud of them for making that stand. Because I really thought it should be their decision because it was affecting them as well, not just me.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so brave of your kids to do that. Wonderful of you to even think to ask them, and then for them to stand up and say no, keep doing what you're doing. They've got to be afraid as well, right? Or are they at that age where they think they're invincible?
No, I mean, when we first talked to them, I talked to him briefly, but my wife sat him down and talked to him more. And this sums it up best. Like, Mom, it'll be all right. We're okay. I understand, the sheriff was here. You called the sheriff and it'll be okay. And then when my wife was like, no, I didn't. Your dad did. They were like, oh. Then they got serious. I think they realized it wasn't Mom overreacting. When I did it, they took it to heart a lot more and understood. But they also understood the value of what we're doing and why it's important. Because they're little activists themselves. So, I stand up for everybody's school but their own. So, like, when my kids report a problem to me at school, they go, will you do anything about it? I'm like, no, if it doesn't bother you enough to say anything, I'm not going to do anything about it. So, they were singing religious songs in my daughter's school. And that went on. And I was like, I'm not doing anything about it. So a couple years later, one of the students were like, I feel like I'm in church. They're so, and these are church people. They're like, this is crazy. So my daughter finally sat down with the teacher and said, hey, I don't feel comfortable. There's so much religion in this school. And she had a good heart to heart with the teacher. And the teacher's like, I don't want you to sit out. Let me see what I can do. And, and I know who your dad is. I don't want to get sued. Which I thought was really funny. And the next day the teacher's like, you know what? I thought about it. I'm going to change all the songs. Every single song we're going to do like Santa Claus, Jingle Bells, so that it's more inclusive for everybody.
The secular holiday songs.
Yeah. She put up a video, and within 3 days we had 70,000 views, 1,000 likes, 4,000 dislikes, and like 3,000 comments, which were, don't read them. They were horrible.
Wow.
But they were your normal troll comments, so I wasn't concerned. But very proud of her for taking a stand. And my son did something similar with the pledge, where they've stood up to their teachers or staff and had good conversations with them, about what they thought. So
that's fantastic, man. Yeah. So what was the letter that you sent to the school district exactly? I mean, was it just saying, hey, these are just a few of the things that have been pointed out to us that we feel cross the line? How will you address them? Or?
We documented some of these very well. We had exhibits with each one of them with pictures, like pictures of the stand-up, picture of the Bible, picture of the poll. And some of these dated back of 2009 that we're just showing a history of. So unlike most things like the FFRF sends, like, hey, we send letters like that all the time. Hey, stop doing this and we're fine. They say, hey, you caught us, or hey, it was a mistake, and they don't do it. It's fine.
Right.
There's so many violations here that we're demanding training for the entire staff. So their attorney actually called me because we got the school involved with some of the threats, and he brought up the letter. Like, he met with the school district today. So they actually met today. I don't know how the meeting went. And I had a chance to talk to the attorney about a letter where he said, hey, the Bible shouldn't be there. We've warned them before about the Bible. If we find out who the employee is, they must be disciplined. I'm like, that's a strong stance. But then on the stand up, where it talked about Christ, he's like, I see no problem with that. I'm like, but so he basically said he was going to meet the district. I think they want to negotiate, which I don't know how I feel about negotiating Constitution of giving in on things, but we'll take that when it comes. But I said, look, we can argue over some of the violations, but clearly there's a lot. My sticking point is I want training. Are you opposed? And he said, I'm not opposed, but it's not my decision. And he said, and he gave me all the excuses are difficult. And I was like, I don't even care if it's this year. It can be next year for all I care. But every staff needs to be trained. They clearly don't know the law. The students don't. It wouldn't even hurt to include students on these issues. That is my sticking point. If you do not do training, we're not going to go away. Wow. And so they're discussing that today. If they're going to agree to training, I would like to make recommendations of bringing, some attorneys in, or even FFRF, to train them on the separation church and state, because they obviously they have no clue.
Well, yeah, it sounds like everybody there is just grossly misinformed or ill-informed, or just not informed at all about what happens or what should happen in a public school, and what is, what should be allowed or is allowed, and what they can and can't get away with. That, it should, like I said earlier, it's just gone on so long that they have no idea even that what they're doing is problematic.
Yeah, they don't. And parents and other students have reached out to us privately of other schools in Grant County where, they have 10 Commandments, coaches forcing prayer, and we're collecting that evidence. But we did have parents that, hey, I've tried to do this, and they said I was one parent. It didn't matter. or they were bullied and threatened into submission to where they like, I can't take this on. So while all the comments online were hateful, our inbox filled with private messages of students who couldn't come forward and thanked us for standing up for them, because it's gone on for way too long there.
Yeah, well, and thank you for being a voice of reason there, and for being a voice for people who feel voiceless, who feel like they don't have any options available to them.
Yeah, I think it's our obligation to stand up for people that can't. We're in a position to do so. That's kind of why I founded the Tri-State Freethinkers. It's why I agreed to be regional director for American Atheists, is to take that stand. The only thing I agree with the parents and students is, they said, well, Grant County will never be the same. And I'm like, damn right it won't.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And that is an absolutely good thing.
Have you had any students come forward with persecution or bullying because they might not believe or be in the same religion that all their friends are at the school?
Yeah, I mean, they talk about the peer pressure for like the student-led prayer, so to speak. They talk about like they complained about the Ten Commandments, and they were just threatened or bullied to be quiet and to go along with it, and how uncomfortable it made them feel. Or like when the Gideons were passing out Bibles, how the kid didn't want one and the Gideons followed him down the hallway until he took it, harassing him until he took it so they would just leave him alone in elementary school. So they claim they're not pressuring everybody. They claim it's student-led. They claim it's all voluntary, but that's a bunch of crap.
Boy, do I not miss living in the Bible Belt.
Yeah, where did you live in the Bible Belt?
Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana. So luckily, mostly on a military base, so I got away from most of that. But I did get some public school, and it was everywhere. Religion was literally everywhere there.
Oy. So is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about or plug before we let you go for the evening?
I would say that this is just the beginning. With the reports that are coming in because of this, we have so many more violations, and we just have to fact check them before we can release it all over the tri-state area. We have many more projects that we're taking on, because of this, of having a change in the area. We do want to change the landscape and make sure the separation church and state strong in the tri-state area.
Well, I think it's awesome that this is coming on the heels of all of the press that you got from the Ark Encounter stuff. I think it's fantastic that Ken Ham kicked open the door to allow other people to see that there is some representation for alternative views and constitutional views, even within the Bible Belt. How can people contact you if they want more information or have other things that they'd like to talk to you about?
If they want, they can go to tristatefreethinkers.com. Our website's being updated. Go onto Facebook. You can like us on Facebook. You can help either through a donation or even support. Even if you're not local, we have things that we need help with to monitor, church-state separation violations, which can be done online. Or if people want to get involved being an activist, but you're in an area that doesn't have a local group, join a local group. But if you don't have one, we're happy to help you, or you can help us. So just reach out to us through Facebook or online, either way.
Well, and hopefully this will help get out the word a little bit more to people in the area as well.
We'll have more, and I'd love to come back on, and you guys keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it.
Fantastic. All right, well, we'll let you go, and we'll move on to the rest of the show. But thank you again so much for joining us tonight. And
thanks for having me on. I'll touch base with you once I get the news of what's going on. I'll give you guys an update.
Fantastic. Awesome. We'd love to have you back on. All right, thanks, Jim.
This is Lucian Greaves with the Satanic Temple, and you're listening to Godless Revolution.
And finally, new rule conservatives who constantly whine that Christianity is under attack from liberals have to explain why there are over 300,000 churches in the U.S., but only 400 Whole Foods. Clearly, your side is winning.
Well, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's some crazy Christian bullshit coming out of that state.
I don't know if I articulated it well enough during the interview, but it just seems to me that they have gotten away with this shit for so long and have been doing that it just keeps increasing, right? Because there's been nobody pushing back and saying, wait a minute, you can't fucking do that. You can't have a thing in here saying that you're devoted to teaching the lessons of Jesus Christ, and you can't have a minister on the payroll. That shit can't fucking happen in a public school.
Or where he even mentioned that students and teachers were assuming it already was a Christian school.
It's a public fucking school. It's not a Christian school. You cannot do that kind of shit. And like I said, they've never had anybody push back on it.
Yeah.
And so they have no idea. And so it's like a little kid, right? That has never been told the word no before.
Yeah.
And they hear it the first time and they freak the fuck out like, what is this new thing? You can't tell me no. I've always done this.
We all see that kid right now, and his name is Donald Trump.
I still can't believe that Donald fucking Trump is going to be president of the United States.
And that all these people that voted for him, the South, for bringing back jobs and making this country great again, are going to realize in the next year, he ain't doing none of that.
The coal industry, not coming back, guys.
Manufacturing, not coming back.
As a matter of fact, today he might have even killed manufacturing off more in the U.S.
Oh, yeah? What did he do?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know how the whole Carrier air conditioning company thing, moving to Mexico, he's promising they'll stay here in the U.S.?
Oh, that he was going to make them stay.
He should make them stay. Well, apparently he might be going back on the whole tariff thing and allowing companies that work outside the U.S. to bring all their money back in for a one-time 10% tax on it instead of the traditional 35% tax on it.
I thought that was one of his things that he said, yeah, you can come back. We'll give you a amnesty kind of thing, not a
But it was bring
amnesty,
the company back.
Oh.
This is for the company to still stay abroad and bring their money back.
Gee, I wonder who wants to touch that money. Wall Street, I would think.
Donald Trump, perhaps.
Or Donald Trump himself to bring back money from his multiple companies he will not let go of
since
while
he's not
president.
going to be putting his assets into a blind trust or anything.
I could run this. I could just run the United States like I run my companies at the same goddamn time.
I can run a business perfectly, and I can run the country perfectly
after I run my business.
Yeah.
So when are we going to see our first domestic drone strike? When are we going to see that? I wonder.
Ooh, I'm betting it'll be on the border.
Well, where are the Clintons living these days? they're in New York, right? Wouldn't that be bad since Donald's from there? I don't know.
Well, she'll just move into the Trump Tower so that way he can't do anything fucking bad to her. You already got the Secret Service there.
Potato with butthole lips. That's just what he is.
And there's tiny-handed, pussy-grabbing fascist.
Him and his KKK father.
There's a very interesting story about the KKK father, like you were talking about there, where they arrested all of these people that were protesting in New York at this one time. And all of the members there were members of the KKK, but none of the people that they disrobed claimed that they were part of the KKK. But like, the arrest record is there that this person was arrested for this specific, thing that they're protesting, but none of them would voice up and say, yeah, I was one of those people. But no, it's obviously, yes, you are one of those people because that's what they were doing and you were one of the people that were arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what his father was arrested for. That was in like 1930s.
Yeah. They were pissed off at the Irish.
Oh, who wouldn't be? Those drunken fuckers.
Hey.
I like the Irish.
Good thing.
Mr. Duffy.
I'm mostly German.
All right. Or are you just saying that because you're from Wisconsin?
No, mostly German.
Yeah.
My parents did give me an entirely Irish name, though, of Ryan Patrick Duffy.
Uh-huh. You got the 3 strikes.
But then when I look at, like, my grandmother's maiden name, then my mother's side is like, it's all German.
It's all German.
It's all German.
It's all German.
I just got my dad's father is the Irish one.
Your grandfather.
Yeah. Well, I had to get the family lineage tied up because I got 2 grandfathers.
Oh.
Well, one that's still alive, one that's passed away.
This is funny. My dad's father.
Well, yeah. Just being proper.
Very close, were you? My dad's father.
My paternal grandfather.
So I wanted to show you guys and alert our audience of this very cool thing that Vice News is doing.
And I love Vice News.
They have this running just scroll of the different things that have happened since Trump was elected or selected as president-elect of the United States, of these wonderful United States.
I love that they included his ball chin on the image there.
It's just this isn't normal, and it's a running guide to Donald Trump's highly abnormal presidency. The story starts out to just give you a little background of what its purpose is. And it says that Donald Trump's presidency is unprecedented for plenty of reasons. Perhaps the biggest being he's the first president in American history to have never previously held elected office, served in the U.S. military, or occupied any other public position. Trump made it clear from the beginning of his campaign that he wasn't going to follow the normal rules or tone of politics, and since winning the election, he has continued to defy precedents set by the 44 presidents who came before him. We're, Vice News, keeping track of all the ways that Trump's presidency veers from the norm, both in policy and in rhetoric, starting November 9th, the day he became president-elect. We're also highlighting the ways in which policymakers and pundits normalize Trump's abnormal actions, words, and policies. So, for instance, and it starts with the most recent thing and scrolls backward from November 9th, right?
But it's like a zombie survival guide kind of thing. Day 20. We've run out of human meat. Now we're on to rats.
Yeah, yeah. So this is day 20. Kellyanne Conway defends Trump for refusing daily intelligence briefings. And I saw this on the news earlier today, that Donald Trump has attended 2 intelligence briefings in the 20 days since he was voted in as the next president of these fine United States. And in interviewing Kellyanne Conway, they're like, why is he not receiving these intelligence briefings? And she said, well, he's speaking to other people all the time. He meets with people all the time. He just had a conversation with President Obama today. And they're like, well, is anybody else attending these? And she's like, well, Vice President-elect Pence has attended them almost daily. And it's like, okay, but why isn't the president-elect going? Well, he has other things to do. Maybe he should divest himself of his other businesses and the other things that he has to do and focus on the business of running the fucking country that he was just elected to represent. No, maybe. I mean, it's just a thought.
The one that he campaigned for over a fucking year to win.
Just a thought. Just spitballing here. Maybe he should make that his priority.
Oh, jeez.
Fucking
completely Mr. Garrison to the fucking election.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
Well, people, I don't know. It's none of this is right. None of it is acceptable.
Remember Obama? Remember?
I remember that. Yeah. So you can go and check that out. I will post a link to it in the show notes for this episode. Earlier today, there was a very sad attack at Ohio State University.
Was it a pissed off Michigan van?
No. No, it was actually a pissed off Muslim man, I believe.
Religion of peace.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about this for a couple of reasons. One being that this was an Islamic person attacking people when he felt not represented well, marginalized, which
happens.
Yeah. Sure, but this is not the way that you should respond to those types of things.
You better quit saying my religion's violent or I'll stab you.
Yeah. The other thing that I felt was noteworthy about this was that whenever somebody commits a mass shooting, right? And people talk about, we need stricter gun regulations. We need to control who can have these weapons of destruction and these killing machines. And you have the Second Amendment defenders who always say, well, cars can kill people. People can stab people. You can get a knife and kill somebody with it. Okay, well, this guy had both. He attacked people with both a car and a knife, injured 11 people, and do you know how many of them are dead?
None.
At this time,
not a
none.
Fucking one.
Well, he's dead.
He's dead.
Well, he died by gun.
Oh, so he wasn't an active shooter. That was the cop.
That was the cop. Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah, the shooting the student heard and were reporting came from the cop.
But isn't that amazing? When someone reports an active shooter, it's because they can't distinguish who has the gun.
And when I saw it, they said it was about 2.5 minutes from the time the student hit someone until the cop killed the kid.
Yeah. So I don't want to hear any more of this fucking nonsense about, oh, well, guns and cars or knives and cars can kill just as many people just as easily. Clearly, that's not the fucking case. And that's a stupid argument to make in the first place. And this guy just proved how fucking wrong you are.
As a matter of fact, we have seen people drive cars through protests or hit a parade route.
Mm-hmm.
And
Bastille Day.
Where was in
Nice.
In Nice, where the guy had the big truck.
Big cargo truck.
He took a big truck.
Yeah.
He was going pretty fast, too.
He was going pretty fast. But you've seen I remember there was one there's a protest going on in Minnesota last year, and some guys I don't like these people protesting, and drove through the crowd of protesters.
Mhm.
And if I remember correct, he didn't actually kill anyone. He just injured people, but he probably hit a good 20 people.
Yeah.
Bouncing off his hood and
fucked up a lot of people's days.
Rolling over them and stuff, but they all lived.
Yeah. Lived to have more fucked up days.
Yeah.
I told you guys earlier pre-show that when I get up in the mornings nowadays, I hop on Twitter to see what the Great Orange Cheeto president has said. Because he usually drops his rants at 3 a.m. in New York time, so it's about 5 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
I get up around 6, and so I get to see freshly what our fucking commander-in-chief has been saying.
And screenshot him before he deletes them.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have to.
Well, there are services that track all of that,
tweet forever,
back them up,
shit,
yeah.
And everybody that shares them,
Hey, everybody on Twitter, I want to keep in mind that any tweet that you make goes to the Library of Congress for forever. So that's part of the National Archive.
Forever, ever? Forever,
ever?
So I shouldn't have tweeted about my balls. I don't tweet anyways. I just thought of the weirdest thing to say at the moment. I don't know.
Have you tweeted about your balls?
No, I don't even tweet.
Never?
I probably did it 5 years ago, but I'm not a tweeter.
I see the fun in it because it's a little bit different than Facebook. Facebook's serious business a lot of the time. Post the link here, talk about this subject and everything. But on Twitter, you can go to Ken Ham's page and be like, "Hey, Ken Ham, you're a shithead," and he direct message him. He gets a bloop on his phone. He'd look at it and hands it off to an intern to take care of it.
For the longest time, I only used Facebook just to share photos I was taking.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, Twitter.
I live on Facebook, but Twitter's for fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't tweet very much. I don't follow a lot that goes on Twitter. I'll check it occasionally.
Everybody's
I'll
Twitter's
tweet
linked to
something
their
every now and then.
Facebook now.
I'm a very passive Twitter user. People will message me, or I'll tweet maybe once or twice a week.
You let the APIs do all the work for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I rarely get on Facebook except for when I'm drunk and I buy a flame shooter, a wrist-mounted flamethrower
That's
shooter.
right. What the fuck was that you bought?
It's a mini pyro. It's like a magician's tool that shoots flames out of your wrist. I've been drinking a little bit of vodka yesterday. It was a shitty day outside. I just sat inside and was chilling.
At what time of the day did you make this purchase?
9 o'clock.
In the morning?
No, at night.
Okay.
I was gonna say, that's a long fucking night of drinking, man. That's dedication.
That's either a really long night of drinking or a long day of drinking.
It was one of those things where I saw it and it was one of those Cyber Monday deals coming up thing. I'm like, that's fucking badass. That's something I need.
I could shoot fireballs at people.
Shoot fireballs at people. I want that. How much is that? I'm like, that ain't bad. I'm going to buy it.
How much do you know about it? Is it very easy to reload?
So,
what kind of fuel does it use?
Is it
no
like
fuel.
Spider-Man where you flick your wrist a certain way?
Yeah, is it a disposable thing?
It's battery operated. So you take, magicians use flash paper and flash cotton to do magic tricks where you see them, a card disappears in flame. It's, it's
abracadabra. Yeah.
Yeah. So you take the flash cotton and you stick a little ball of that in there, and then you roll up the flash paper and you put that in the tube and you hit the button. And it's got 2 tubes in it, so you can have 2 of those loaded, and it's got a little button you can hit on the wrist to either fire one ball or both of them at the same time, or a remote shooter.
You can fire both balls.
You can fire both balls.
That's what I tend to do. That's how I got twins, Ryan.
That's not how twins are created.
I know. Well, if you're talking about dizygotic twins.
A year from the right testicle.
I know, because you're more shriveled.
You do have one that's more prevalent than the other.
Well, yeah.
They don't ever hang evenly. Yeah.
No, and it's probably so that when you get kicked in the balls, one takes more of the brunt of the force.
I'll save you.
Yeah, you got a sacrificial ball.
A sacrificial ball.
This is Matt Dillahunty, and you're listening to the Godless Revolution.
Now, I understand it. Christians love to feel persecuted. It's part of their origin story. But we're a long way from them getting eaten by lions in the Colosseum. 70% of the country is Christian, not to mention every president we've ever had.
Oh, now that I've derailed the podcast again.
Oh, it's kind of related to what we're bringing up with the next topic.
True.
We are talking genetics, and we're passing along lineage and stuff. So.
And wrinkled flesh. And, yeah.
I did a segue without knowing I was going to do a segue.
So I thought this was it's both interesting and a little bit sad. But African elephants are being born without tusks due to poaching. And this is happening because throughout Africa, there are several spots within Africa where the elephant populations have been hunted so much for their ivory that those elephants with shorter tusks or no tusks are the ones who remain alive and mate with other elephants in similar situations with shortened or no tusks. Yeah. And then their offspring are doing that. So we're seeing evolution based on outside external selection forces.
Well, you see, Dan,
and nature adapting to those.
That's micro evolution. I want to see macro. I want to see one of these elephants turn to a duck.
Oh, I'm sure that'll happen anytime so they can fly away from the hunters.
Dude, they're prone to have feathers on them ears.
God damn it.
But this comes to us from The Independent. It says that an increasing number of African elephants are now born tuskless because poachers have consistently targeted animals with the best ivory over decades, fundamentally altering the gene pool. In some areas, 98% of female elephants have no tusks, compared to between 2 and 6% born tuskless on average in the past. So it went from 2 to 6% to now 98%. Being born tuskless.
And you can still see, when I looked at the photo, you can still see the area where the tusk is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. I was looking, I'm like, were they removed, or is that just naturally a tuskless?
Yeah. Tuskless elephant now.
That's probably just stock photos. Yeah. I would think.
But if it's that prevalent now with 98%, it's probably a pretty good chance that they're naturally.
Oh, and you got the one genetic outlier that's got those long tusks, like, oh, look at you, aren't you special?
Yeah. Now you're no longer like, it used to be like, oh, you got big tusks, I want to mate with you.
Big
now it's
tucks.
Like, big tusks.
Medicated
big
pads.
tugs. But not anymore.
Big Tux was my drag name.
The story says that about 144,000 elephants were killed between 2007 and 2014, leaving the species at risk for extinction in some areas.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a few a day.
That's a lot of fucking elephants, man. Over a 7-year period to kill 144,000 elephants.
I wonder how many of those were by rich hillbillies that just want to go kill things.
Dentists and shit.
Yeah. President's sons or president-elect's sons.
Well, a lot of it is done by local poachers who are just trying to make a living. And
but
if there were no market demand for these, then they wouldn't be out hunting them. So people need to quit fucking buying this kind of shit, and then there would be no market for them to be sold on. So,
but there's still a market to
get 56
rich.
a day.
56 a day.
56 elephants per day.
On average.
On average over 7 years.
So, they got slow days, and then they got the catch-up days, and so it's fucking sad.
It says that the most striking example is in the Addo Elephant National Park in South Africa, where 98% of female elephants have no ivory. Big game humpers.
Woo!
Big game humpers there had killed all but 11 elephants by the time the park was created in 1931. 4 of the 8 surviving females were tuskless. In 2008, scientists found that even among elephants that remained tusked, the tusks were smaller than in elephants a century before, roughly half their previous size. Although not having tusks may protect elephants from poaching, it is not ideal, because tusks are used to
fight and for mating rituals and
dig for food and water, dig up trees and branches and move them around, and for self-defense and for sexual display.
I've heard from some nice ladies, it's not about the length, it's about the girth. So maybe they're increasing in girth and not length.
Growing more slowly.
They're growers, not showers.
Right.
Right. Imagine if those guys still had like woolly mammoth tusks.
The big curled things.
Those things were huge. Yeah. So that's the way, basically, woolly mammoth is a predecessor to elephants, isn't it?
Sure.
I'm not 100% on that.
I would guess.
I might be wrong, but yeah, I think it's a good guess.
Somewhere in the lineage, but definitely not the exact, like, modern pachyderms didn't come from mammoths. So.
No. But I'd say they're the same family.
Pachyderm.
Like your house cat versus a cheetah.
Yeah. Oh, read that first comment. That's amazing.
Just a southbound pachyderm. From Hackney Dick.
Utter nonsense to state this. Human activity will not alter the genetic code, natural selection deals with this. If it were the case, for example, male Jewish infants
would not be born with foreskins.
Yeah, I can't.
It's not selecting a specific trait that you want to propagate. That's how we have tiny fucking dogs, you know.
And just because it's cut off does not mean it's not in your genetic code anymore.
There is so much wrong with that comment, right?
The comment below. Wow, where to start?
Yeah, that would be all I would leave for that person was, wow, where to start, because you're so fucking clueless. But I mean, so we're talking about two different things. First and foremost, if a male is circumcised, having foreskin removed, it's not that people are looking at that male and going, oh, well, now I'm not going to mate with you.
It also doesn't alter its genetic code.
No.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't alter the elephant's genetic code either.
No, but if it's already born with small tusks, that's probably genetically going to pass on small tusks.
Right.
If you are born with a foreskin, you are going to pass on the gene for your son to be born with a foreskin. If you get it cut off, you're not going into your genes and splicing out the foreskin gene.
Well, and there's no external pressure where men with foreskins are being murdered.
Yeah.
And then are not able to pass on those genes.
Well, in that case, it'd be, fuck, you ain't doing that. Last 20 guys I knew that had their foreskin cut off got fucking killed.
Yeah, only those men born without foreskins or with very small short foreskins are able to procreate these days. Yeah, that
makes... He went to that school in Kentucky with the Christian teaching.
I loved that Bill Nye pointed out that, you know, if all of the animals were vegetarians, why are they in cages?
Yeah, they shouldn't be dangerous.
What are the cages for exactly? Or do you have a lot of material falling around that you don't want to crush the animals? Is that what it is?
Because you only brought 2 of them. You got to make sure they're safe.
True. Well, they're easier to stack that way too.
Oh, true.
It's like square watermelons from Japan.
Yeah. They're fucking expensive.
The square watermelons?
Yeah.
I thought they were doing that so that they would be less expensive because they could be packed
easier
more tightly.
to ship.
Yeah, but then we got to ship it from fucking Japan instead of down the street from the fucking watermelon guy.
Just tell the watermelon guy to start making shit in molds. That's all they do.
He should.
In what universe do the following statements make sense? Mike Huckabee says we are moving rapidly toward the criminalization of Christianity. Ted Cruz says there's no room for Christians in today's Democratic Party. What? 80% of Democrats in Congress are Christian, and 78% of Democratic governors. You can look this shit up, you know.
One of the things that we did not cover last week, toward the end of the show, when I said we've got a couple Bryan Fischers, a Michelle Bachmann, whenever we went with the Bryan Fischer, saying that federal employees should not be allowed to vote.
Because of a conflict of interest. Where that makes sense. We still have yet to figure out.
So on his radio program on November 14th...
I troll him on Twitter also.
Do you?
I get lots of followers just from trolling people. Ray Comfort, AFP Radio, Bryan Fischer...
So on November 14th, and I wanted to bring this up today because we had this queued up to be one of the stories in last week's episode, or in our last episode. And we didn't do this story, and since then, Donald Trump has propagated this story that now that Donald Trump has said this, I'm wondering if he is a big follower of Bryan Fischer, and that's where he received this information that Clinton's popular vote win was possibly due to, 3 million people illegally voting.
And what's funny about that is he's like, there was obviously voter fraud. Then he condemns Jill Stein for bringing up a look to check into see if there was voter fraud. It's like, well, you said there was, and now you're condemning her for looking into voter fraud.
Well, and if he is so confident in all of this, wouldn't he be cheering them in doing a recount? Like, yes, we need to get to the bottom of all of this fraud and root it out and make sure that those who perpetrated it are held accountable.
Yeah, so I can legitimately have the popular vote.
Yeah.
I had a sincere Republican guy I work with saying, I don't see a problem with this. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Really?
Who doesn't see a problem with what?
With the vote recount.
Oh,
like, if there is any kind of impropriety in the system, they need to search it out and they need to fix it. And I was like, wow.
And there was a few counties in Wisconsin that admitted to actually
padding.
Yeah, padding the votes.
Over 5,000, I think, votes or something like that. It was considerable in just like 3 counties.
Yeah.
And so
Say what now? How did they do that?
Okay, so they were giving results before they were ready to give results, and they were adding votes for Trump. And they got caught when someone looked at it because they're like, oh, you have X number of people who voted in this county, but you're showing more votes than
people that
the people that are there. So they said they made a correction to it. And after the correction, Hillary's numbers stayed the exact same.
It was off by 200, and I think Trump's was off by, it's not 5,000, it's considerably more, it's like 50,000 or something like that. I remember, I talked about it last night, I don't remember exactly what it was, but when they finally reconciled everything, it was a margin of, 1% correction as opposed to like a third, like of all the votes.
So like 30% or more?
It was considerable.
Wow. Yeah. And that's why that was the day after that came out, was the day when Jill Stein said, okay, yep, we are doing Wisconsin. We got the money. Wisconsin's going to be taken up on this issue. And since these other people said these other areas probably had something looks fishy, we're going to do those as well. But they haven't filed was it Michigan and Indiana?
I don't know.
No, Pennsylvania.
Right.
They haven't filed those yet, but they said those will be filed in the coming days.
Well, they better fucking hurry. They've got like 20 days.
Well, Wisconsin's was running up like this week. That's why they jumped on that one immediately.
What is the total number of electoral votes for those 3 states?
Well, it was
enough to push Clinton over if she gets all 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And in a couple of those places, they had some computer people looking at the algorithms and everything. They're like, this doesn't make sense.
There's some fuckery about it.
Like, there's something is wrong here because the people that voted and the projections on these areas with the people that voted, this shouldn't be the way it is. Like, something is off here. They're saying,
way outside the margin of error.
Yeah.
For not just pre-election polls, but for the
exit polls from those elections saying these numbers don't make sense.
Where I read the story on that where they said something like even if you factor in the error reporting back or forth, where it could be plus or minus 2 points or whatever the number was, that even if you factor that in and double it, it was still double that or more.
Yeah. So I think there's a legitimate case in those areas to, take it up.
Or there are just that many more fucking cowards who won't cop to, even after doing so, voting for Donald Trump.
That, and maybe that's the case. Maybe that's why the numbers are thrown off so much. People were exit polling saying different numbers.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
That's what I think. I think it's more likely people were in the closet about voting for Trump. Mm-hmm. They put themselves there because they didn't want to tell anybody else that they agree with a xenophobic, racist, misogynist shitbag.
Exit polls. I mean, the exit poll I did was anonymous. You're not putting your name on it. They hand you a clipboard, you fill it out, and you drop it off.
Yeah, but that government might be tracking it.
There's cameras watching your rottens.
And
I don't think it's as much as that. It's cognitive dissonance in their own mind, where like,
they can see how I mark it.
I'm a good Christian. I voted for Trump. I'm a good Christian. I'm a good Christian.
Well, and if you're the kind of person who falls for all of the right wing's narrative of crooked Hillary and she's gotten away with all of these stuff. Yeah, rigged election, all of that bullshit. You're obviously also the type of person who would be fearful that the government would be tracking your every move and how you vote, and that if Hillary is elected, she's going to come after you. So I think there are just that many fucking dumb people around. I hope I'm wrong. But
no, there's a lot of fucking dumb people around.
That's my sense of things these days.
I mean, you work with one of them.
I work with several of them, actually. One is worse than the others, but yes.
I think we all work with one of them.
Uh-huh.
Well, we do live in Utah.
True. It's hard to get away from.
I had one at my house during the holiday. The family who was all here are great people. I love them all very much. We had a very nice visit for Thanksgiving, but they had a friend of the family come over, and I had to not be in the same room as the person who was over here because it was just
BO?
a steady stream of nonsense, bullshit.
Yeah.
Not BO, BS. Like he was talking about crooked Hillary and, you know, he's glad Trump won the election and how could she have gotten away with all she did? And he brought up this story of some person in the Navy. Oh. And according to this guy, all this kid did was take a few pictures. He's in the Navy. He's excited. He took a couple pictures of the boat that he's working on to send back to his mom and dad because he's proud and he just wanted to show them what he's doing. And
wasn't this the kid that took the pictures of the top secret nuclear reactor in the submarine?
Yes, on 3 separate occasions, a month apart from each other, taking pictures of
top secret classified
of the nuclear reactor within a United States military submarine.
That Russia would love to see.
And according to this guy, his narrative is, it's just some kid who's excited about what he does and wants to send some pictures to his parents about what he's doing.
Well, I'd love to send pictures to my family of where I work and the desk I have and stuff. Ain't gonna happen.
But he's going to jail now, and that crooked Hillary Clinton, that liar, she's getting away with all of the things she did. That's all he just kept saying is, all the things she did.
Like what?
And I was like, I need to go somewhere else or I'm gonna murder you. And it will be a really big bad scene and everybody would likely want to be spared that. So I'm going to go somewhere else and you guys have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could have brought him down here. It would have brought him to the murder room. Nobody would have heard it.
Would you like to go see my sound dampened recording studio?
It's got chains.
Yeah, this guy was a fucking moron. And then when he went to leave, Tracy's mom was here. And she's visiting with all of the people and everything. She leaves, and this guy goes to leave about a half hour later, and I hear one of my other relatives on the phone with Tracy's mom, hey, did you happen to take Dipshit's keys with you when you left? Because now Dipshit can't find his fucking keys for his truck, and you were the last person to leave. Maybe you just picked him up on accident. They search high and low for a half an hour, all over, like in the front yard, all over the house. Dipshit had a fucking hole in the pocket of his jacket, and so his keys went through the hole and ended up in the liner of his jacket around the back. So he's wandering my house for a half an hour looking for his fucking keys that are
with the weird jangling noise behind him.
That are sitting over the top of his ass as he's wondering if my mother-in-law had taken the keys. So,
wow.
Where were we?
Oh yeah,
Bryan Fischer.
Bryan Fischer. Votes.
Yeah, Bryan Fischer and votes. Sorry, I can't handle dumb people. I can't. I have to. Because if I would have stayed there, it would have been really bad. It would have been an ugly thing, and I didn't want all of my other family members to be upset, so I just left. So.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not invited to the family Christmas party this year. This is the religious one. I'm not coming to that one.
Oh yeah.
No. I get to stay home and play Xbox and drink and eat pizza.
Fuck yeah, that sounds like a good trade-off to me.
I don't have to hear scripture before opening presents. Yay!
Well, I got nothing going on this Christmas. Let's go play some Call of Duty.
What now? What now?
I don't play that. I don't even have that game.
Want to play some Overwatch? I'll play some Overwatch.
I was playing BioShock the other day.
And I got a PlayStation 4.
Oh yeah. You're not even Xbox. So.
Well, fuck you. I'll go buy one then.
No. Yeah, you're single.
Yeah, I'm buying wrist
flamethrowers. I'm like,
at 9 p.m. on a weekday. Why not?
I remember being able to buy my own stuff. That was fun. I remember that.
Remember? So anyway, we're talking about Bryan Fischer, Donald Trump, and the emails or the votes. Because Bryan Fischer, on the American Family Radio program, asserted that Hillary Clinton possibly only won the popular vote because more than 3 million non-citizens illegally cast votes in last week's presidential election. Keep in mind, this was on November 14th, and Donald Trump is talking about this now, that were it not for all of the illegal votes, he would have won the election.
Yeah.
The popular...
And she's over 2,000 votes now? I mean, I'm sorry, 2 million. 2 million, sorry.
Yeah.
Not 2,000.
Here's a report that from an organization called votefraud.org.
Sounds legit.
They went through an analysis of the database of 180 million voter registrations. They determined that more than 3 million votes were cast by non-citizens.
Hold on there. 180 million registered voters. We had what? 103 million people actually vote?
I don't know how many.
So we have
people.
upwards of what, 300 and something million in the United States
There's,
right now?
there's roughly 200 million registered
350 million people total.
So if you have about 60% turnout, which we didn't have, we had about 55%. You would be at about 100, almost 180, I would think. You're almost.
Well,
there.
that's total vote.
That's total registered
voters.
Though. That's not.
But I thought because Hillary won, or she had like 62 million, and Trump had like 60 million. So that put us right around 114.
Well, that's saying they had a database of 180 registered.
Yes. So they're going through a database of 180 registered voters and looking for people who aren't legally allowed to vote from 180 registered voters.
Not deleting deceased people, probably. Yeah. Not deleting.
Well, did he say 180 million, or I thought he said 180? I thought he said 180,000.
Oh, was I going with the wrong number there?
Yeah.
I was probably going with the wrong number.
I think he said they went through 180,000.
Because I'm like, 180,000, ain't nothing.
But I thought they were talking about the total database size was 180 million registered voters. But we could.
Let's back it up.
Yeah.
I want to, let's make sure here.
His fucking sound quality, though. White noise removal,
here's
bitch.
a report that from an organization called votefraud.org. They went through an analysis of the database of 180 million voter registrations. They
went through all 180 million registered voters.
Yeah, they just pulled this node and it did hash checking and shit like that.
But my thing is, if he's
I don't think that they would have access to all of the registered voters.
Oh, no, they got it from Russia, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
it's out there now.
I guess that information is available.
I could probably hop on Tor and find it in 5 minutes.
Yeah. But they went through 180 million registered voter records, and
we had around 120 million people vote.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a difference of 6 million.
Obama's
60 million.
60 million.
Yeah. Obama's first vote in, we had almost 70% turnout, I think, in this country. It was a lot. And then it dropped down quite a bit for the next one, and it dropped even further for this one. So,
But just the fact that, out of 60 million, you might be able to find a few deceased people.
One or two.
That never voted.
But they're saying these people are illegal. How do they know they're illegal?
That's a good question. Let's find out.
Determined that more than 3 million votes were cast by non-citizens. 3 million votes cast by non-citizens.
Like Dave
So you
Coulier.
look at the margin in the popular vote that Hillary Clinton has. It's somewhere north of 1 million. That's still counting. But let's say she wins the popular vote by 1 million votes. It very well could be that what tipped the balance to Hillary Clinton were 3 million illegal aliens that had simply no right to vote, let alone even to be in this country.
And that's assuming they voted for Clinton.
Yeah, that's assuming that all 3 million of them who did vote, if any of this is accurate at all, which
I think
it's
I call
Bryan
bullshit.
Fischer, so I'm doubting very, very much. But even if what he's saying is accurate, he's assuming that all of those 3 million people would have voted for Hillary Clinton.
And how exactly does an illegal alien register to vote?
That's a very good question. I was wondering the same thing.
Because they don't have the documentation to register to fucking vote.
And they don't want to let the government know
that
where
they're
they
here.
are, who they are.
Yeah, they pretty much don't want to draw attention to themselves at all. So.
And non-citizens have a marker on their driver's license, as we learned 50-some-odd podcasts ago, that say, hey, this person is not a citizen, so that if they went to go show a photo ID of themselves, and they had a driver's license to show, you're not a citizen, you can't vote.
Mm-hmm. It's all very interesting. But so this was, on the 14th?
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, and Donald Trump today was saying, basically regurgitating what Bryan Fischer said 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, in part of his 3 a.m. Twitter storm.
Yeah. So I wonder if he's a follower of Bryan Fischer, or somebody in his administration was like, I was listening to some bullshit from Bryan Fischer the other day, and he made a very good point.
It's very plausible because he's spewing the same bullshit numbers and content.
Uh-huh. Well, I wonder where Bryan Fischer got his information, though, too.
Ooh. InfoWars.
No, the lizard people. That's who did these vote things. You honestly think an average human can go back and look at everybody's data?
Hey, they were here before us humans, though, so, I mean...
That's why the lizard people did it. An average human can't go through 180 million registered voters to find out which ones are illegal aliens. But it takes an actual illegal alien to fucking figure that shit out.
Voting for Clinton's not going to get you more monoatomic gold, though. I don't know why they're even going to try. I mean, what's the point?
Monoatomic?
That's how they disguise themselves.
Oh... Is this something that
this is from the David? This is from the David Icke book. Don't read it. It's fucking nonsense.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is.
They mine for monoatomic gold, which they use as a makeup. Well, not really makeup. It's what disguises them so that we see them as human, kind of thing.
What is monoatomic gold?
It's absolute fucking nonsense.
It's an extremely rare gold that only lizard people can find.
It's one atom gold? What the fuck is that?
As if gold has to exist in a diatomic state? No, they don't. That's oxygen. That's
well, it's like normal gold. Even though it's really malleable, it's a very soft metal. Monoatomic gold is liquid at room temperature. Kind of like a mercury.
It's akin to spice.
Yeah.
But the spice is life.
Okay.
Because they can't take normal gold and just rub it on their skin. If they could, they would. But it's fucking metal.
Okay.
So this is mono. I'm
sorry I brought it up.
I'm talking right out the left side of my ass right now.
The left side.
So, Ryan, do you dress to the left or to the right?
Well, I'm freeballing right now, so.
I dressed to the left. I had a mole removed, and it kind of yanked everything that direction.
I dressed dead center.
Now you know. Do you dead center? That's gotta make it uncomfortable sometimes, right? So do a lot of your pants split your difference?
Well, I've actually switched over to like the jockey underwear instead of wearing like boxers. It's like not like whitey tighties, but they're really loose.
I wear
but yet they
hammocks.
secure everything.
You wear banana hammocks, do you? Really?
That's pretty much what I wear. They're basically like banana hammocks, but they're not as little material.
Yeah, and it's not a thong. I don't have a string riding up my ass or anything. It's just I wear mankinis. That's what I wear.
But it's much nicer.
It's less fabric, man.
It's less fabric.
I wear the boxer briefs.
See, too much fabric. I can't stand that shit.
And they're great at the gym.
It keeps everything nice and
packed in there.
Nice and bunched up.
Yeah.
Nice and snug.
It keeps everything happy.
That's
it's
why,
not as bad as
why I went to the
tighties.
boxer briefs instead of the boxers, because
there's too much
as
freedom.
you get older, things start to sag. And
though I do have certain jeans that I have to wear. Just nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, just let it hang.
Going commando.
Yeah.
I'm just free balling right now because I couldn't come to the podcast in PJs.
Who says you can't?
Did you say you're free balling?
Oh yeah.
There's nothing separating your manhood and that chair, but
but my blue jeans.
Oh, nice. I'm glad we don't move these. I'm glad we don't move these chairs around.
Oh, I do hot swaps all the time.
No, this one has a loose nut over here.
I know.
Not me. It's on the chair itself.
You don't see me playing with this chair, so I can swap it out all the time, do you?
No.
I'd be more worried if somebody was actually burying their face in the chair at any time in this room. Be like, oh, I love the chair.
This is the best tasting chair ever.
We've all ripped ass in these chairs.
Oh, God.
Bill O'Reilly says if you're a Christian or a white man in the USA, it's open season on you. Yes, that explains all those recent videos of police shooting unarmed white clergymen.
So we can talk about Jim fucking Bakker and his slop buckets telling everybody that God will send earthquakes to punish counties that voted for Hillary Clinton.
I love this video.
You know what's funny?
Because God is such a nice guy, right?
We had that uber Republican county here in Utah that had that 3.3 earthquake the other day.
Which county was that?
Was it Hill something?
Hill County.
Hilldale? No.
Where all the hill people are?
I was going to say, Hilldale, but is there? No.
Jeff felt it.
Yeah, it was down south. It was down, towards Utah Lake.
Oh, Jeff Linville?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not hear or feel anything.
I had Hilldale in my head because I was watching Back to the Future the other day.
Just going to play the audio.
Yeah, he gets loud, so I'm going to be ready for this.
Okay.
First Amendment gives you the right to protest in a peaceable way. Whenever you're throwing rocks at people, whenever you're beating people up, whenever you're stealing their cars, whenever you're setting places on fire, whenever you're throwing rocks through people's windshields, this is not a peaceful protest. Now, I do just want to give
They call them that. They do. They're saying, we're having peaceful protest. Anytime anybody burns a car, throws stones through bank windows or anything like that, or injures another person, they need to be arrested.
Yeah.
We need to say no now. Yeah. No more.
Agreed. But less than 1% of these protests that were going on had any violence in them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a protest until that shit starts happening. Then it becomes
a riot.
A riot.
We are going to have, and I wrote it down, if we're not
so I wouldn't forget, because I'm fucking stupid.
And God told me this in confidence.
I wrote it down.
I think he's 76 now. I think is what someone told me the other day.
Really? He doesn't look that old.
No. He's old as shit.
I mean, he looks good for his age if he's that old.
Prison did him some good.
Kept him fresh.
It's all that toilet wine.
We are going to have, and I wrote it down, if we're not careful, we're going to have civil war. That's right. I want you to see this. So,
somebody in the audience, that's right.
That's right.
I'm going to start that shit.
I'm surprised it wasn't an amen.
I'll tell you right now.
I kind of think we are in the middle of a civil war, a cold civil war. That's what it is.
It's cultural civil war?
It feels that way, yeah.
Because you wouldn't have had these protests with any other election.
Well, they protested Obama as well, though.
Where?
Well,
in the South,
Branson.
And that was a thought that I had earlier, that it concerns me that how much. What do you think the fallout would be if they go through with the recount and it's found that Hillary Clinton actually won those 3 states, and then they say, okay, well now we have to overturn the election results and Hillary Clinton will be president. How do you think Donald Trump supporters would react to something like that?
With click, bang, bang, bang.
It'd be crystal knocked.
There were,
jihad.
It would be a bad deal. So I understand they want to do the recount to see whatever, but what is their ultimate goal here? What are they hoping to accomplish with the recount?
But that would have happened even if Clinton would have won outright anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the rhetoric was so bad at that point that some people would have gotten violent with it.
Yeah, but I think, now that we've gone through this process and he was declared the winner, she conceded, and then she's leading a recount. I mean, it all reeks to somebody on Donald Trump's side of things, right? Somebody who sees things through Cheeto eyes.
Yeah.
They would lose their fucking minds about this.
And don't forget, the actual last votes aren't cast till December 19th.
For the Electoral College?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and there's the Texas Electoral College representative who is
dropped out.
Abstaining. Yeah, he resigned and said that they'll have to appoint somebody else because he couldn't vote in good conscience for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So it's all
snowball effect.
This is not normal, people.
No.
This is fucking abnormal and weird as fuck.
Like, we're in the fucking Twilight Zone and I want to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
You to see this. So, can you see that map? I probably shouldn't say this.
It's on a tiny ass piece of paper to everybody.
Amazing.
I wrote it down.
I love it.
I hate that
county
woman.
by county.
I fucking hate that woman.
You see, that picture right there is just a testament that the media are a bunch of liars.
Right.
What?
The red.
It just shows that more of the U.S. is rural.
For Trump.
Right. Yeah.
The
by
red
county.
is the GOP.
Mm-hmm.
The grand old party.
And let's not forget that they're showing this map that's done by county where, as I mentioned pre-show, large swaths of the United States are uninhabitable areas or just places that aren't inhabited. And this is by county. The counties that have been so fucking gerrymandered by the GOP.
Yep.
That's how this shit happens, where you can have somebody win the popular vote by 2 million plus votes and still lose the election because the counties have been so gerrymandered.
But when we see that same map by percentages, because I do know my percentages now, it's more purple.
Yeah, it is. Because he's looking at this and looking at all of the red and figuring in his tiny fucking brain.
All them is Trump supporters.
All them people there, they all voted for that there Trump there. That's not what happened. So,
but he's also showing, oh look, where the most populated areas are in the U.S., where the most people live, they all voted Trump. No,
you had that. Sorry,
I fucked that up.
I was like,
I take that back.
Wait a minute, Ryan. That's good.
I really trumped that up bad.
It's huge.
There they are. Now, that's where it is right now. They're still counting ballots.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make any difference.
Right.
Hillary's resigned. It's in the bank. You know, it's done.
She didn't resign, jackass.
Here's the thing. If you
what the
live
fuck is
in
was
the
she
blue,
speaking in tongues? Is she speaking in tongues? Let me back this up.
If you live
she's speaking in tongues in the background.
Back on the screen. If you live in the blue, any spot that's blue,
right?
I would say, oh God.
Oh God.
It's like the flavor of this guy.
California and Arizona.
Oh God.
Yeah, boy.
Forgive me.
Forgive us.
Because those are the ones who came against the will of God in this election.
Now you've got to understand,
and I just want to tell you, God has spoken to me. I've seen under the ground.
You say that all the time.
Again? God talked to you again?
Wait,
take your meds.
Here comes the warning. Buy buckets.
Yeah.
If you live in one of these blue counties, better buy my slop buckets.
Well, he had the ad in the corner. Well, now it's at $3,500 donation.
Or more, plus shipping.
That's for the 28 buckets. That's,
28 buckets.
That's the couch and love seat combo.
Woo-wee.
For 10,472 total servings. At a mere $3,500.
I'm buying it. Never.
Jeff Linville threatened to buy me a bucket.
They're more than $100 a piece, man.
He wants me to do it for the show. to live off of it.
To live off of a slop bucket.
I can do it. I could eat the same bullshit day after day if I wanted to.
You need to get a variety bucket.
I don't want the one with the salsa in it. Ugh.
I haven't even looked to see what's in them.
Now with Mexican flavors.
Flavored with real Mexicans.
Can't get them over the border? Put them in your bucket.
God has spoken to me. I've seen under the ground in Florida, in California especially. In LA.
Mm-hmm.
And God spoke to me that in Los Angeles alone, there's going to be such an earthquake come that literally the big buildings will be laying on their sides. All of LA is going to collapse, downtown LA.
He saw that San Bernardino movie or whatever it was.
All of LA is going to collapse. He doesn't give us a time frame here.
Nope. Superman 1.
And it is on like one of the largest fault lines in the U.S. It's the most active.
Well, yeah. California has earthquakes every fucking day.
But they also build buildings to resist earthquakes.
Well, everything in LA is apparently going to be laying on its side sometime.
Yes, agreed.
My favorite line is, I saw into the ground. Motherfucker, there's no light in the ground.
Jesus lit the way.
Your eyeballs work on light. Oh, you felt something. Okay.
I saw with Jesus's brown eye into the ground.
Yeah, he's behind him the whole time.
Or something.
And that there's going to be, and I believe the West Coast is going to have, how many of those faults and earthquake zones do they have there?
Yeah, those
in
things.
California? Anybody know?
And what's interesting about that, California,
neckbeard,
you even see, and Sasha was the one that actually from California made this known to me, that if you look at California, the east side of California is red by county, and the west side is blue. And where do all the fault lines, where do all the prophetic words happen to plant themselves. It's on the far west of the West Coast. Now, it's the blue. Now, you understand, it's not, judgment's not coming in because
those other areas are rural.
It's because they voted for a platform. They voted for a platform that is so incredibly pro-abortion, anti-Bible. Yeah. They voted for a platform that specifically states that they are going to seek a two-state resolution with Israel, saying in the Democratic Party platform.
Oh my God! They want people to live peaceably together. Yeah. They don't want to allow the Jews to just run over all of the
and have their holy war.
This is my land now. I live here.
Platform that they attempt to divide the land of Israel. Mm-hmm. It's not because they vote Democrat. It's because they vote a platform and what that platform represents.
Right.
There's no way in the natural that even a Christian would vote for Trump after all the dump they put on him. I mean, you know what I mean? They just, but here's what. Trump.
Did he just say there's no way a Christian would vote for Trump?
He did.
Yeah.
After all of the stuff that people dumped on him. Okay. So that was his defense. Okay. So he's saying that if you were to believe that all the things that people said about Donald Trump, there's no way a Christian would vote for him.
But God.
Luckily, Christians don't believe in facts and information.
Natural that even a Christian would vote for Trump after all the dump they put on him. I mean, you know what I mean? They just,
the dump.
But here's what.
The dump they put
Trump
on him.
Has surrounded himself with more men and women of the gospel than any human being I've ever seen in my 76 years.
Even Jesus?
And he's a televangelist.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
Who said he's seen God?
As a televangelist, he thinks that Trump has surrounded himself with more people than Jim Bakker has ever seen who are Christian evangelical dummies.
You should be worried.
Uh-huh.
Amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, that's one word for it.
It's amazing. I can't talk right because of all the plastic surgery.
And that's, I honestly wonder if now when all people said that Trump's going to make America great again, I think their real thought was, no, Trump's going to make America Christian again.
That's what they mean by great.
Yeah.
Or a lot of them.
MAGA.
It means make it Christian again, make it white again.
Yep. Make it racist again. Make it homophobic again.
Make it not gay loving again.
Make it so the women have to be in the kitchen again.
Making sandwiches.
And pumping out babies.
Mm-hmm.
This is New Name Noah, and you're listening to the Godless Rebelution.
Rick Santorum says the treatment of Christians in America is so bad, we should keep in mind Nazi Germany, where you go from Christians, Jews obviously, but also Christians being not just persecuted, but put to death. Again, 70% of America is Christian. Who's going to put them to death? The Hindus?
I wanted to do this next story because Glenn Beck has sounded somewhat reasonable lately.
Yeah, which is scary.
And I want to remind people that we're still talking about Glenn fucking Beck here.
Yeah, stops clock. Right, twice a day.
Yeah. Yeah, he is not at his core a reasonable person, as evidenced by this clip in which he sits down with David Barton to talk about God waiting to establish America until we got our thinking right on the Bible.
Wait, America was established
Talking
as
about a divine
colony.
providence. I am struck by the fact that Columbus
never landed in America.
I am struck by Columbus. Biggest dickus.
He was hot.
Struck by Columbus.
He has a wife, you know. Dwight Kentuckian weather wuffy.
blown here. Once he humbles himself, he's blown here.
No, he wasn't.
No.
Who gets blown there?
Well, apparently...
Is Glenn Beck talking about
Christopher
somebody
Columbus,
getting blown there?
Yeah, got blown here.
The movie director?
He had a map to the
Glenn
New
Beck
World and
blew
still
Columbus?
couldn't find it. He did.
Oh.
The movie director.
That's where we're going.
He got blown there, right where Glenn Beck is sitting.
Here, once he humbles himself, he's
I wouldn't want to sit there at all.
And when he's going over, you see the humility of him. When he comes back on the boat, he starts talking about, I'm going to be a great man. I'm going to be I'm going to probably be the governor. And he's never allowed to come back.
What? The humility of Christopher Columbus?
When he came here and used Native Americans? Not even here.
And then talked about, I'm a great man, I'm going to be governor.
What's he talking about?
Sounds humble and like a person of great humility to me.
I guess he missed the part where he's on this voyage to pay off a debt to the fucking queen.
Well, if it doesn't deal with Nazi history, then Glenn Beck isn't interested. Nor is David Barton. He'll just make shit up.
To this land. The same thing in Jamestown. Jamestown, they're coming over for the gold. They're coming over to exploit the land.
I saw that on a Disney movie.
God kind of corrals them and the Indians actually board them in.
The Indians?
What?
Only the Pilgrims do well.
They got it right, and they're the ones who...
They didn't do good at all.
No, they nearly fucking died.
Yeah, they did horrible.
What is this emblem that Glenn Beck has on his sweater here?
That's an old... It actually looks like an old either Indian motorcycle emblem. Actually, it looks like an old Indian motorcycle emblem.
Huh.
I will never ride a motorcycle because Glenn Beck rides one.
I've been thinking about not wearing shirts because Glenn Beck wears them.
Why do you think I shaved my head?
But he wears them wrong. Look, he's wearing a shitty collared shirt underneath it.
What are you talking about? Someone who's wearing a collared shirt underneath a normal shirt?
Underneath a sweater, even.
Yeah, but
what do you got going on over there, Mr. Rogers, by the way?
It was warm.
Hi, neighbor.
Have you got your comfy blue shoes on today?
No, but this is warm. And it's cold out.
You going to show me how crayons are made?
Okay.
Going to talk to the king of make-believe, land of make-believe?
Don't make me...
Meow, show me how this is made, meow, meow.
Don't make me sit here naked.
Ding, ding, with a little trolley rolling across the table here for the Godless Rebelution.
Okay, I want to play more of the video.
Pilgrims do
well. They got it right, and they're the ones who produced the land. And one other thing worth noting about Columbus, 1492. How come you go all the way to 1620 before you really have something that settles and makes it right? Well, why 130 years?
Because they didn't go to the same
places. They had not worked out the Bible yet.
What?
Because at the time they had not looked at the Bible yet, Ryan. You were wrong.
No, it's because Christopher Columbus never even landed in America. He landed in the
not in the North America.
Not even in the South America. Yeah, he went to fucking Cuba and fucking Bahamas and shit.
He's forgetting Cortez and all these other people.
Because he didn't use the Bible to navigate him. He just said it. Didn't you hear him?
He had a map from fucking America Vespucci who fucking gave him a map. Go, here's this fucking place. Go exploit it.
Oh, and the Vikings were here before him.
Yeah.
Had not worked out the Bible yet. If they had come over with Columbus, you've got the coercive Spanish religion that kills people for not believing. You still got a state-established religion.
And the coercive Spanish religion? You're talking about Catholics?
Catholicism.
Yeah. That killed people, unlike the Pilgrims?
Got a state-established religion. These guys finally have enough Reformation, enough Bible in them that they say, we're going to do what the Bible says, not what the government says. And by doing that, look what it did for private property. Look what...
It kills me, right, that they always say we're going to do what the Bible says, not what the government says. But then they say that our government is based on the Bible. So what the fuck, man? Is our government based on the Bible? So we should follow the government, or is it not? You're so confusing. I don't understand what you're saying.
And they brought up state-sponsored religions. Like the fucking Church of England. Yeah. How about that one? Oh wait, no, let's see the Pilgrims. Let's see. What do the British celebrate our Thanksgiving as? Oh yeah, fuck off Pilgrim Day. Because they were religious zealots. They didn't want them in their country anymore. Get the fuck out of here.
Look what it did for private property. Look what it did for relations with Indians. Look what it did for so many other things.
Made it horrible.
And it's like God held us off for 120 years until we got kind of our thinking right on Bible and government and freedom and liberty and conscience. And then they come over, and lo and behold, so why wait 120 years? Providence of God, maybe.
No, they waited 120 years because they finally realized, genocide.
Providence of God, maybe. Just throwing it out there.
No,
could be.
Genocide.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrebelution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the twatter at TGI Podcast. Thanks, bitches.
So we're going to end this evening
Oh, clingy shit.
You know what I've noticed in going through the editing process as I'm doing these things?
What's that?
That I say, so, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, God damn it, that's where I have to make the cut again. And it's like every time we break into something, then we do the things and make the drops, and then it starts with me going, so.
I have the same crutch.
Yeah? What is yours?
I do. So.
Oh, really?
We're back, you know.
Yes. I don't feel so alone.
Or all right, we're back from the break, and now it's time to talk about. If I make a drop, I don't have to say that shit.
Okay, listen up, fuckers. There we go. I'll use that one. The story that we're going to be ending this evening on or with.
Yeah.
I'm fucking tired. Is Gordon Klingenschmidt. Placing a Muslim in charge of DNC would be highly offensive to Christian voters.
What?
I'm offended by that.
Fuck everybody else. I mean, nobody really cares what anybody except Christian voters thinks anyway, right? So, doesn't matter.
But let's take a moment and discern the spirits.
Oh yes, let's do.
Discern the spirits.
I got some chicken bones around here somewhere. Let me see.
I've got some vodka and some rum.
Well, I thought you said you're almost out of vodka.
I am actually out of. Well, there's what's in my cup is all that is left.
So we need to go discern those spirits.
There is a spirit of idolatry inside of the religion of Islam, who worship a false god, who follow a false prophet, and read a false book.
Oh.
Hey, the Jews say the same thing about you.
False prophecies by the false prophet Muhammad, leading people to worship the false god Allah, which is not the God of the Bible, not the God that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob worshipped.
Sorry, he is.
Yeah, it's actually one of the three Abrahamic faiths.
Yeah, so they did worship him.
Get your facts straight there, chappie.
That was one of those life-changing moments for me when I realized that Islam, Christianity, and Judaism were like all the same religion. Like, 'cause being brought up strict Christian, you're not taught that. You know?
No.
That they all have the same core beliefs.
Same core beliefs, same people in the religion. I'm like, oh, so why aren't we all Muslims?
Just different
if it came after New Testament
and branches off from the main trunk.
Why aren't we all Mormons?
Yeah.
Not the God of Jesus Christ, but is a God who promotes the slaughter of their political enemies.
And the Bible doesn't
do that? You really want this
to
be the face of the Democrat Party? Don't you think that kind of thinking offended some of the voters, especially the evangelical voters who brought Trump to victory in place?
I don't give a fuck if it offends the Christian voters who brought Trump the presidency.
Fuck them.
Trump to victory in places like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin? Do you think that by promoting more Islam, which is the failed foreign policy of the Obama and Clinton administration,
really?
Promoted
What?
Islam is a failed policy of the Obama and Clinton administration?
How?
Have they been around for that long? I mean, that's a very long administration.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just felt that long to people like this.
When they promoted the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and Libya, in Syria, and ISIS, and in Iran, don't you think...
This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's saying that the Obama and Clinton administrations have supported Syria? No, that's what Donald Trump wants to do. He wants to support Syria and Russia, who is backing Syria.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
And all of the countries that he mentioned that had an Arab Spring, of course we supported their decision because we wanted to remain allies with whoever was in charge at that point.
And we wanted to support their decision to have a democratically elected government instead of a dictatorship. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And in Iran, don't you think that failed foreign policy is part of the reason you lost the election?
No.
Instead, they're doubling down. They need to moderate their stance. They need to appear reasonable to evangelical voters. Instead, they're doubling down, and this is a thumb.
Appearing reasonable is what we've been trying to do, but in the face of evangelical voters, there's no fucking way to do that. It doesn't matter how reasonable you are. It doesn't matter how mildly or nicely you put anything. There's always going to be somebody who's going to be pissed off about what you say if it runs contrary to what they want to believe.
Hey, we're doing a lot better now with our relations with Iran versus underneath fucking George Bush, where they built thousands of nuclear fucking missile plants.
and
this
Stuxnet
guy so much.
Yeah.
Instead, they're doubling down, and this is a they're thumbing their nose at the voters who just repudiated them.
2 million
and
above.
I don't think it's going to work.
Fuck you.
You guys can try that as a strategy if you want, but you're going to lose election after election after election if Ellison is the face of the DNC.
He's talking about Keith Ellison, who is a Muslim who wants to head the DNC. From what I've seen of Keith Ellison, he's a reasonable, rational, mostly, apart from his religious beliefs, nice guy.
But as long as he's not trying to rule the DNC based on his religion.
And he's not trying to institute Sharia law or any kind of that bullshit.
I've got zero problem with that. If you can keep your religion as part of your personal life,
no problem with
it.
Yeah.
The Bible says this in Psalm chapter 4. How long, O you sons of men, will you turn my glory into shame? How long will you love worthlessness and seek falsehood?
As long as we have Donald Trump as president of the United States.
How long will I turn glory to shame? As long as there's holes in the bathroom stalls, man.
Now let us quote Superman.
Let's pray about this. Would you pray with me?
No. Fuck you.
No, I will not. No.
You fucking turtle-headed fucking turtleneck wearing fuck. That did not come out as well as I wanted it to.
Neckhead wearing turtle fucking fuck shit turtle.
He looks like a turtle wearing a turtleneck.
He looks like a frog about to like blow up the sack underneath his neck. He's just
Father in heaven, we pray for those even in the Democrat Party.
No, you don't.
Look at his fake ass.
Even in the Democrat Party, as if God is that fucking petty, right?
I do like his knife hand though.
Needs to bring the fingers together and point that thumb to get that good sergeant hand going on.
Father, we pray for those who have been hostile to the Christian
And what's his
faith.
other hand doing? He's got the one hand up. The other hand's underneath his jacket. Doing something. Just saying. We can't see that hand.
He's got his eyes closed.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Talking to his imaginary friend, fantasizing about things.
That camera doesn't go below his belly button.
It's that scene in Ghostbusters where Peter Venkman gets the blowy from a ghost. That's what he wants to happen with Jesus.
Pray that you would forgive their sins. Father, we pray that they would repent, that they would turn to Christ.
No.
That even the Republicans would turn to Christ, that there is no solution in any Republican platform that does not honor Jesus Christ. Father, we pray that as leaders are selected for the next round of elections in both political parties, that they will fear God and honor his commandments. The one true God, the God of the Bible, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and his name is Jesus Christ.
I was close.
His name is Jesus Christ?
That always confuses me too.
And L. Ron Hubbard's name. Amen.
His name is Jesus Christ. His name is Jesus Christ. His name is Jesus Christ.
I love that movie.
Little Fight Club.
Yeah.
What was the guy's name? Bob Bitchtits. I remember that, but I don't remember what his last name was.
His name is Robert Turley.
Pulse? No.
No, it was Robert.
Paulson. No,
Robert Paulson?
Robert Paulson. There you
Paulson.
go.
Was it Paulson?
I think it was Paulson.
Something like that.
Someone's going to leave you an angry comment.
Yeah, I think his name is Robert Paulson.
How did you not know that?
How did you not know that, guys?
I'm terrible with names.
I am too. You can tell me a name and I'll fucking forget it. I don't even know your name.
The bearded guy. Well, thank you very much for coming out and joining us tonight, Mr. X.
I had a lot of fun. This is always a good time. I love doing other shows. It's always a blast.
We love having you on the show, man.
Because I can pack up my stuff and I can go. And I don't have to do anything that
you
you
don't
have to do
worry
afterward.
about editing or posting or any of that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's lovely. I love it.
Next week I'll have some little gifties to put out on the table for the things and stuff.
What?
Well, to see if it makes it sound a little
those
better.
things, yeah.
Yeah, got some things. And we will not be going to Las Vegas, apparently.
No.
There was some unfortunate news received by one of the people that we were going to go to Vegas with or to meet, and we were very sad to hear that and wish them well. We'll have to
We'll figure something out.
Figure out something. Have them on the show again or be on their show again. Yeah.
I still need to go on their show because I'm still the third Pokemon.
You gotta catch them all. You haven't been on there by yourself?
Not yet.
I thought you had.
Well, we were talking there for a while. Then I just need to give them a call. Maybe after the holidays.
Give them a squeeze.
Yeah.
A little poke.
Yeah.
Poke them in the fanny.
Are you talking about the two skeptical chaps?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, okay. See, I've reached Canada yet. I haven't reached the UK.
Next week, I don't think we have anything planned firmly yet.
We'll plan firmly for fun.
Yeah.
There's been a purple dragon sighting nearby.
It'll be, we may have the purple dragon on the show. So that'll be exciting and fun. And it'll be the first show in December, which is the last full month before our beloved President Obama retires and the Orange Clown takes over.
Well, yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, until next week, have fun and be good, and we'll chat at you later. Say bye, peoples.
Bye, peoples.
Good night, everybody. We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. I don't even know how to service that modem. That one's not even in my notes. I'm like, fuck, how long have I had this thing?
So now it's just wireless.
Whoa.
Let's test it again.